Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, dreamers. My name is Indigo Dream, and welcome to Dream Podcast Radio, the podcast show where we talk about special topics of interest and importance in an enlightening and understanding way. Today's episode is brought to you by the Disability Rights Education and Defense Fund, and also brought to you in collaboration with the Soul Fam Stream Team. Our goal here today is to spread maximum awareness of the D.R.E.D.F campaign, whose mission is to advance the civil and human rights of people with disabilities. This episode is critically important to myself as an older brother to a younger sister with disabilities. I see just cause in making sure she is capable of living a full and happy life. And that is what today's topic is about. So please have a seat, lend me your ears as I share with you the most important story I have to offer in today's episode of Dream Podcast Radio, A Girl Named Alison. Joining me today is an extremely important guest, quite literally the only other person alive who has as much right to this topic as I do. Please welcome, for the first time on DPR history, my older sister, Lady Red. Red, thank you for being with me here today.
Thank you for having me.
How do you think? Did that sound good? Does that sound
Yeah, that sounded great. That sounded
Yeah, you
great.
like that?
Yeah, that sounded great.
So once again, Red, thank you for joining me today. I'm gonna just get it out of the way. It really, really means a lot for me to have you here. I'm shaking already trying to talk to you about it, but
Please don't.
I'm really glad to have you with me on my podcast. I have always kind of told myself that I would want to have you on my podcast one day, and I'm glad that it's for this specific reason.
Yeah.
As I told you already, you and I are here to talk about our little sister Allison, and we're gonna be essentially sharing her story, who she is, what she's like, and explaining to people what life is like with her. You know, how having a younger sister like Alison has affected our lives, how it has changed us, how it has sort of helped us become the people that we are today. We're basically gonna go quite a ways away down memory lane. And this is gonna be a pretty in-depth conversation that I think you and I are gonna have. We might already know a thing or two, and we might learn a thing or two about each other. And I just want to get it right off the rip that I am very glad to have this moment with you, my older sister. Um, I want to quickly just put it in there immediately. Uh, the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Allison, what would you say is that?
Happiness. That's normally the first thing.
Happiness, you think?
Yeah, happiness. I mean, for me, when I think of her, it's happiness. Whenever I think of her, I'm always like, okay, I'm pretty happy because if a girl like her can go through what she went through, then yeah, it's kind of enlightening just to know that someone so strong
Hmm.
can just take every day as just just be happy every single day of her life. And for me, I'm like, she makes me happy.
Now,
And that's yeah.
for the dreamers out there listening, the reason why I bring that up immediately, a lot of people who know me or relatively know me have heard me say from time to time, uh, I may have mentioned the name Allison. I may have mentioned, my little sister and how much, I love her. But not a lot of people actually know who she is, what she's like, why it is that I'm so enamored by her. And we're going to be pretty much painting the picture of who she is and why we are the way that we are with her. So, Alexandra, if you allow me to say these things,
Ah!
ready? That was force habit. Uh, so Allison, uh, when Allison was born, she was born with quite literally a shopping list of medical conditions. To put it plainly, to put it simple, she came out of mom with an entire receipt of stuff going on. Um, and I'm trying to make light of it. It is a serious topic, of course, but I would also like to try to make it a little bit on the softer note. One of the things that Allison was born with is a condition known as hypotonia. For those of you out there in the world who might not know what that is, hypotonia is essentially a kind of rare medical condition where a person is born with extremely low or hardly any muscle tone. Um, in layman's terms, Allison is extremely weak, and I have disappeared off the face of the earth for some reason.
What?
There we go. Apologies. Um, the condition is hypotonia. You're born without any muscle tone. What is an average to mid-average build for a normal person, an any day average Joe, is quite literally the opposite for someone like her. I'm actually going to give a sort of interactive example for those of you out there listening. Um, I'm gonna ask all of you guys listening to simply raise your arm above your head. Simple as that. Just as high as you can extend your arm. Simple as that. That is a normal action basically anyone can do. Simple as hell. Allison, because of her hypotonia, she can't even do that. Because of her weak muscle tone, the highest that she can raise her arms is not even shoulder height. Her own muscles basically work overtime just to even move. Now, that's not to say that she's incapable of movement. She walks pretty much every single day. She can get around pretty quickly too, if I be damned saying that. But the thing is, because of her low muscle tone, she every day that she's moving, every day that she's walking around, her body is basically working overtime and going into maximum overdrive, as Plankton said. It's a task, it's a chore, it's hardcore to say the least. Um, Basically, every day is a workout for her. Uh, Another thing, I think you read know about this one more than I do. The trach story of Allison.
Oh God. Yeah, I do. Uh
Um,
well, there's
please.
one specific that I remember um when they took it out. That's the one I remember honestly the most. And then when they had to put it back in.
Mm-hmm.
Um so for a while she didn't have it, and she didn't need to have the suctioning machine. She didn't need to have um no, there was nothing on her neck. It was just so unusual. I mean, because since she was born, she always, had it. So it was like when they took it out, I was like, oh, it's so different.
Yeah, right.
It was
I'm glad.
so
Wow,
different.
somebody actually put it into words for me, and it's you of all people.
I mean, duh, because I
Yeah.
would be. It
Um.
was like
But
for me, it wasn't normal, but at the same time, over the years when she didn't have it, it was starting to become normal. Like it was just like, oh,
yes.
okay, cool. She didn't have to carry around this suctioning machine. She didn't have to change it out. Nothing like that. It was just normal.
Now,
Um,
to actually go off another thing that actually has to do with Allison's neck. I don't know why I let this one slip. I totally meant to say this first as well. Another, I don't want to use the word feature because a feature is supposed to be like something good, but whatever you want to call it. Another thing about Allison is a mute. When she was born, I would assume also because of the hypotonia or for the fact that something to do with the trach thing. I never actually got the full 100% detailing of it. I would imagine that because of that, her vocal cords were extremely weak. Uh, Basically, not even there.
yeah,
Um, since birth, Allison was incapable of speech. Or at least not in the average way that you and I can talk,
yeah.
or anyone for that matter. To put it lightly, and I must say it this way, and I'm gonna feel bad about saying it this way, and it's gonna actually hurt my feelings to say this, but to put it clear as day, my sister and I, Red and I, have never actually heard Allison's true voice.
I
Um,
mean, except for the time being when she didn't have it, for those couple of years, you heard somewhat of a voice, but not actually like like a vocal voice. You heard somewhat of,
it's like she's capable of making her version of
yeah,
speech. She's capable of
there we
making
go.
her sounds of communications, but she can't vocalize like you and I can. That's like one of the most notable, most obvious things about Allison is
Yeah.
if you try to engage with her in conversation, it's going to be very one sided. For very clear reasons. She just can't, she literally cannot talk back. Um, but to bounce on that and to actually add something to what you were saying, because that's how we grew up with her, like that's how we've kind of always known her, that was normal for
Yeah,
us,
basically, yeah.
like because we grew up with Allison since she was born, and with all these things that she has going on, we never viewed it as anything other than usual, anything other than
Yeah,
the norm. It was just Allison to us.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
basically.
and it always, and because of that, you know, I guess way of living, finally realizing that it's not exactly normal to a lot of other people, you and I kind of took different routes on how we kind of acted because of it. For you,
Yeah.
and I'll say it, I guess we're gonna do a lot of revealing shit today. Um, you took the route of being very nurturing. You took the route of being very motherly with Allison. You took the route of being extremely caring and careful. If it wasn't mom, it was you. And you were, if mom wasn't around, it was you who was helping take care of her. And I guess I'll be a good brother and say it. You did really good.
Oh, thank you.
Shut up. And the and unfortunately, I took the opposite path. And I'm not saying I was rude to her or anything for that matter. I was rude to everyone else around her. And I'm sure you've seen it, I'm sure mom has seen it. Um, because you were very positive with Allison and you basically didn't really spend time caring about, what other people might think about seeing someone who is quote unquote different. I was unfortunately obsessed with thinking about what people around us were thinking. I grew up extremely protective of Allison in public. Um, there's actually one story that I constantly remember, but I don't like remembering. There was a time when all of us, you might remember this, because I'm very positive you were there. You might remember this. I'm pretty sure we went to like a certain big franchise store. I can't say the actual name, but it has a mouse. And we went to that store, and we were in line. We got fucking something. We were in line. We were getting ready to make our purchase, and I was, standing next to Allison. She had just bought something. I think it was like her allowance money or something. Allison had an allowance, by the way, but I ain't gonna talk about that here. I didn't have an allowance, but Allison had an allowance. I'm gonna talk about that
I
some
didn't
other time.
either. I didn't
This is
either.
bullshit. It that day when she was buying her thing, I very much remember like standing in front of this little girl, and this little girl was mad dog eyeing Allison. Like,
I remember. Okay, yeah, yes,
do
but
you remember this day?
I remember you and I both having the same type of reaction.
This little girl, and I suppose like there's plenty of things to say about this, but the gist was this little girl was staring very not nice at
I mean,
Allison,
a hardcore staring,
like
like it was
bombastic side
like
eye.
you know that the gif of like please don't make it obvious and the guy just turns around and makes
Yes,
it so obvious. That's how she was.
don't be
Like it was
suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. And she was just, pretty much glaring at her. And I've never done this before. I'm pretty sure this is one of the first times I ever took that leap of like, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life when it comes to Allison. I death stared the hell out of that little girl.
I
I've never
remember.
I've never stared at someone with such vicious
Unbelievable.
intent before, and let alone a child.
A child.
Mind you, I was still young myself. I was probably like what 10, but this little girl
I
was probably like
Nah, man, I think we were a
6.
lot older than
I
10. I
was
think
I was
we were a
young,
lot older.
and
I think you were like teenage probably, but we were a lot older.
I'm just saying, like I stared the fuck out of this little girl, and if it wasn't gonna be just a staring match, I was probably gonna get kicked out of this store, but I didn't want to do that. I obviously didn't want to do that. So, I did what I thought was the smart decision, and I just like stood in front. I just moved myself in front of this little girl so that she couldn't just stare at Allison. She's just gonna be staring at
Yeah.
my ass while she's in this line. And I'm pretty sure that was the first time where I made that decision of like, I have a purpose, and if it's gonna make me be viewed as kind of a not nice guy, then so be it. Cause
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's kind of what brothers are supposed to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's in my eyes, I mean, it's normal. You were just acting protective of
Um,
her. That's it. Um,
there's it's just it's a thing, like with all the things that happened to Allison, you kind of grow up wanting her to not go through things anymore. You want her to be able to relax for damn sake. Not
yeah.
and the worst part is Allison doesn't fucking care.
Care. She does not care.
She
That's
doesn't
what
give a
I'm
shit.
saying. Like, I wish every day I could have that type of attitude to just not care if people stare me down or if people just like say whatever they want to say. But parts of me is just like I am aware of it, and and not in a sense of like being mean or anything, but she's not aware because she's in her own little world, and that's for me. I have like mad respect for it because it's like she does not care.
No, like
It's so
constantly, like, because, we unfortunately grew up realizing that the world isn't exactly sunshines and rainbows. There can be some not great people out there. And like that's what we have realized. That's what we have
yeah,
lived to learn. Allison doesn't understand that. Allison
yeah,
is 24/7 in her own world.
yeah.
Like, her
And
perspective of reality is completely different than ours.
yes, yes, it's like she in her world, in her perspective, she doesn't see anyone as mean or rude, or she just sees everyone as people, as just happy-go-lucky people. And for someone like us, our perspective is like, oh, fuck everyone.
Yeah.
Like, people, oh,
It's like,
gross.
hey, taxes.
Ew,
Ugh.
bills, stuff like that. And for her perspective, it's like sunshines and rainbows
It's
and
like for us, it's like I don't
happy.
want to do anything today, and for Allison, it's like I wonder what I'm gonna do today.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to
And it's
say.
like a part of me is like I want her to be like that forever, and then a part of me is like, you little bitch.
I'm jealous of you.
I can't believe you. Have you heard this thing called uh the
A,
IRS?
a job.
A job? No, got it.
But in her defense, I mean, she really can't be doing that stuff.
No, of
Like, she
course not.
can't really go to work. She can't really do nothing. In her defense, like, she's her mindset is like she's still 10 years old. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And, you know, she still loves watching uh Disney Channel. She still loves watching like the old classic Disney channels you and I grew up watching. You know, she's still in that
She's
era of like,
for someone young, she's very old school.
yes, there we go. There we
Yeah.
go.
Um,
Yeah.
I want to try to talk about another thing that kind of explains the path that I chose as well. Um, I don't think you know about this story, and I remember it clear as day. But it also, I think it was the first day that I probably came to terms or realized how different Allison was and how frail she was. There was a day we were. It was when we were living in that old house. I'm not gonna say where, but you know exactly where. And uh we were this is when we were kids, like kids.
Yeah.
And she had this Barney toy. Her
Yes.
favorite Barney toy. It had
Yes.
like a stand, and you put him on the fucking stand or whatever, and he would like dance on it, some shit like that. It was creepy now, but cool as hell then. And she was just in the room. She was playing with it, minding her business. Me
Yeah.
being a dumb little kid, I'm like, I'm gonna go play with my little sister, but I don't realize that we're actually physically different and I don't know my own strength. And I was like, um, I'm a fucking idiot. I grabbed this toy.
No, no.
I grabbed this toy, and I'm like, haha, come and get it. What? You know, just hanging it above her head, and she's just
Yeah.
staring up at me like, the hell?
I can't do that, man.
I can't do that. And the that's not even the worst part about this story. Like when I realized just how different she was when I'm like, oh come on, Allison, you don't want to. All right, whatever. And I threw the toy at her,
Yeah. I think I remember that. I
and
think
that as soon as that toy hit her, she went flat
yeah.
on the floor. And I'm like, as a
Oh
kid,
damn.
I'm like, uh oh,
Oh damn.
mom's definitely gonna hurt me now. And at the time, I'm thinking light of the situation. I didn't realize at the time just how bad that action was,
Yeah.
because with Allison's hypotonia and her weak muscle tone, it's basically like throwing a ball
Like
on a wet napkin.
yeah, like throwing like a heavy rock.
I basically threw a fastball on a wet
Yeah.
tissue paper. She
Yeah.
bruised so bad after that toy hit her. And I didn't realize it until, like mom started yelling at me. This is, again, when we were kids. I didn't realize just how frail and weak she was due to her hypotonia. That was the day that
Yeah.
I realized that Allison is physically different than me.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, I believe, the stepping stone as to how I started acting differently around her. Like after that, I've never like played rough with her ever. I didn't. If she had something in her hand, I never took it. I never touched it. If she was
Yeah.
walking down the hall, I would get the hell out the way. I wouldn't do nothing. I think because of that, I was actually afraid to touch her in any
Yeah.
means. I was just
I mean,
frightened.
but it in a sense, I mean, you were a kid, so you had no idea the really you had no idea at all. Like you didn't know her actual physical um conditions, cuz I mean, you were a kid. It's completely normal you want to play, and siblings always want to be rough. It's normal.
Do you recall any times like that where you discovered that she was quote unquote different?
Oh, from the very moment she was born. I think because so when she was born, I was 5.
You
Uh,
definitely were sentient by then.
yeah, because but I think as soon as she was born, my instincts kicked in. I don't know what it was that my like I want to say like my childhood instincts just like vanished, and then my older sister slash mother instincts started kicking in because then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Why, in my process as a 5-year-old, why are we still in the hospital is what I always thought. Like, why can't she come home?
That's true.
Why,
That's true. We were
why, but
constantly.
yeah, why it was always like in and out the hospital. And, being, 5-year-old, 5, 6, 7, growing up, I was always like, why are, we should just bring her home. Like, come on, let's go home.
True.
Um, so I think from the moment she was born, it was like constant. It was just like childhood gone. Motherhood, big sister
It's true.
instinct started really kicking in.
Like in now that you say it that way, it does come to light. Like because we didn't exactly have a normal childhood, or like what people would advocate as a normal childhood. There was a lot of times where you would see people or kids, siblings hanging out, playing and stuff.
Yeah,
We wouldn't really get to do that with her because me as a boy, I would like to play a little bit rough. I would like to play a little
normal,
loud, normal
normal,
boy stuff.
normal. Yeah, normal,
Um,
completely normal
and
child stuff.
we would never be able to do that just because of all the things that Allison had going on with her. It at the time, growing up, like as a kid, is like that's normal. It I didn't believe in the existence of playing with your little sibling because I never did it.
Yeah,
So like seeing that is in fact a thing was like, oh well, I can't do that. So I got over it. Yeah, it
yeah,
and
because
it hurt, you know.
it started becoming normal
Yeah,
to us.
like growing
Like,
up living the way that we had to live with Allison because of all the things that kind of like surrounded Allison and stuff, like the way that she
yeah,
had to be treated, that just kind of adapted into our lifestyle.
yeah.
Like we didn't get to do a lot of things because we just didn't.
But then we also got to do a lot of things. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like, we didn't
there
get to
were a lot
do.
of different things that we got to do.
Yeah, like that's like we didn't do like the normal like playing outside till like super late till the street lights turned on and we had to come inside, stuff like that. It was more like we also got to um for me, I don't know about you, but for me, I felt like it was more of a bonding thing. It was more like, okay, we're staying inside and just being together,
We
even if
watched
we're
the shit out of Harry Potter movies.
all of them because she's so addicted to Harry Potter.
Like
So addicted to Harry
instead of
Potter.
going outside playing with Allison, we would
We
stay the
were
hell
watching
inside watching Harry Potters.
Harry
E-
Potter.
every month they would send in like a Harry Potter marathon. Watch it all week, yeah, all
Yes.
day, every day. And that's what we would do. It was like, hell yeah, we've seen this movie 50 times already. Let's do it
Yeah,
again.
and we would get like either popcorn or snacks or like
It was
sundaes or ice
normal
cream,
for us.
whatever. It was completely normal.
Like
And
we grew
for other
up.
people, it was like, oh, come outside, and we're like, no, we're gonna watch Harry Potter with
Oh, like
with
it's
Allison.
like go outside. Why?
No.
It's Harry Potter week, you stupid. Allison wants to watch Harry Potter and I want to hang out with Allison. I don't want to go outside. The fuck?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's for us, it was, I don't know, we just got adjusted to it pretty quick. I mean, like I said, it was, I was pretty young and I don't want to like trauma dump, but, childhood for me was out the door. Out the door, and it was like an instincts.
Yeah.
Uh, it was just an instinct just to be like, okay, I must help. I gotta help. I mean, because my ma was a single parent, and it was just her and us three, and that's it. So it was like I felt like I had to put the role of older child
Mm-hmm.
into effect like immediately.
There was actually another thing that we got to experience that I feel like not a lot of people really get to experience it. And I actually feel bad for people not being able to experience this. But because of, Allison's conditions, she had to be treated at home a lot. And
Yeah,
what did that mean? Who did we always end up having in the house? A
there
nurse.
was a nurse. We always had like a morning nurse and then a night nurse
Every
because
single day, a
yeah,
nurse would come in to our house, and because they would come in so often, they just became a part of our normal lives, and we just like sort of melded that nurse at the time into our lives and our family.
yeah, like
I
she
remember all of them.
yeah, like the really special ones that growing up that always touched my heart. One of them was, you
Please
remember
say it.
Michelle?
Please,
Michelle?
bless you. Yes, fucking
Michelle,
Michelle. I
when
swear to God.
she was so interactive, not just with Allison, but with us. And she would always she would always introduce us to everything about Allison. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is how you bathe her. This is how you clean her trait. This is how you clean her feeding tube. This is how you, do this with her. This is how you suction. That's where mainly I learned most of the stuff was because of Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever she would bring around her kids, uh uh she would bring around, remember how like one year we made ornaments with
Yeah,
her kids, and we were just all gathered around the table just creating
I
ornaments.
broke mine. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and
I was mad as shit.
Michelle, that was one growing up.
Mhm.
The other one was Miss Linda. You
Miss
remember Miss
Linda
Linda?
was another one that I
Miss
was gonna say. Miss
Linda.
Linda
Oh,
was one of my personal favorite nurses that came
yes.
in time and time again, just because she was just one of the
She was always there. She was
constantly.
always
I would wake up and she was there. It's like, all right,
yes.
she's here. Let's do
And
this.
she was so like with not any um like she was also like matching Allison's energy, where it was
Mm-hmm.
like uh she was always happy, she was always smiling. You like never saw this woman cry, like never even
No.
her have a bad
Miss Linda
day.
filled out so now that I'm older, I'm able to understand these things a lot more now, but
Yes,
like Miss Linda filled in so many like prerequisites on what you need in a person
yes,
around someone like Allison. It's like she was kind, she was caring, she knew what she was doing. She looked after Allison, she looked after us, she looked after Ma, and it was just like she was that person, you know?
yeah. And then like I you also remember when we went to go see Barney?
Correct. Oh,
Yeah,
why would
and
you say that? Why are you
I
gonna expose me like
listen
that? I don't
because
I don't
uh,
I don't I
this
did
is the
like Barney. I did, all
we
right? I'm a
are
man
open.
now.
We are an open. You cannot tell me that you don't know the words for heart,
I
man.
love you.
Thank
You
you.
love me. Of course I fucking know Barney. I'm his biggest fan.
So, like when we went to go see Barney with Miss Linda, it was such for me. I think it was just such a magical moment because you also saw Allison with such a huge smile on her
Mhm.
face.
That
And
it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Just as a
Yeah.
brother, you want to see that. You know,
You
like with
yeah,
Allison
like
the way
it
she is, you need that energy.
yeah, like for me, that was definitely a core memory for all of us. Like for all of us. That moment of like, we were out we were out doing like, being a universal. We were, doing a family outing uh differently from other families, of course, but for us that was completely normal.
Yeah. Um,
And
there was another one. Do you remember? You remember Miss Angela?
yes. Yes.
Miss Angela, I think.
Yes. Oh my god. Like, okay, for just to describe Miss Angela, just to describe her, anyone who has seen Medea,
Yes, bless.
anyone who is anyone who has seen Medea, Tyler Perry's Medea, that was Miss Angela.
Pretty much. How you
That was
doing?
hallelujah.
Bless that
Like
woman's
it
heart.
was
I swear to
it
God.
she she was hardcore, but like she was so sweet about it.
Oh
And then
yes.
like not only that was another one that not only did she include Allison in doing other stuff, but she included us as well. Like when we
Yes,
went
it was
to go get
cool as
Sonic.
shit. Like already, like Miss Angela, like if ever Miss Angela was the nurse at the time, I knew like if she's gonna do something with Allison, she's doing shit with us.
Yeah, like when like anytime like she went to go get Sonic, like the
She would
slushies
get
for
us all
Sonic,
fucking
she
slushies.
would get us slushies. Like that for us, it was like, "Oh,
Miss
snap."
Angela was the one who introduced me to one of my favorite cartoons, and it was like Transformers, uh, like Beast Wars, and
Yes,
it
yeah.
was cool as shit. She gave us nicknames.
Yep.
She gave us
I was
like
I
cute.
was
Say it. I'm gonna let you say it.
my nickname for Miss Angela was Princess
It
Moonbeam.
was the coolest fucking name I've ever heard, and I was
Princess
mad as
Moonbeam.
shit that it was
I
yours.
have no idea where this thing came from. I have no, but I loved it because I was how old? I think I was like 10, 11, 12. And to be called Princess Moonbeam, I was like, "Yes, I'm a princess.
She
Okay."
called you Princess Moonbeam. She called Allison what was it? I think she called Allison Sunshine a lot. Um
It's something something. I
she
forgot.
she
I don't
called
know.
her
I remember
Sunshine,
mine.
she called her Baby. I
Yeah.
think I got the best one. I was given the original one, Pumpkin. She called me
Oh,
Pumpkin.
yes, yes.
It was like I've never felt such a thing from an older woman that wasn't mom. That was like if if like if this doesn't work out, I'm coming with you. All right, cuz like you're doing stuff to me, lady.
we're we're gonna have a sweet potato pie.
She would bring pumpkin pie and give all of us a slice.
Yes,
She would give
yes. I
Allison like a very itty bitty slice because Allison could never eat properly. She would give Allison a little bitty slice. She would give us the fucking rest. It was the coolest shit ever. And
yeah,
like to that's just like an amalgamation of stories that we grew up with that not a lot of other people did.
yeah,
Because of Allison and the way that she is, we got to experience a different kind of life than what is viewed as normal or
yeah,
average. We were introduced to people that changed us, that like cemented themselves in our lives in a such a positive way that has affected our personalities, our philosophies, like like everything about like I never cared about Medea until Miss Angela. That's just putting it
yeah.
that way.
I
You
didn't
know.
know about Medea until Miss
No,
Angela.
I didn't know that
Like
shit.
how she would play, like she would put on the plays, um, and we would watch Medea with her. Like, we would all sit down and watch Medea with her,
Yeah, like
like coming back
every time she would
either
walk in the door.
like coming back from school. We would get slushy. Oh, and then you remember her car?
The van?
No, she have like
Oh,
a
she nah,
Oldsmobile?
she had like a she had it was a piece of shit, but it was cool as fuck.
It was like a Oldsmobile type
It was
car.
like you would think it would be a station wagon, but it wasn't, and it was
Yes.
nice. It was not. I
Yes.
loved riding in that thing. Anytime she would pick
It
me up from school, it was the coolest shit ever.
that's like the
I felt like I'm going pimping.
yes, that is honestly the growing up like as children, those were for me like the top I want to say the top 5 nurses.
Hmm.
Um and then
Now you know who we
now
have.
now to start like the to from when we were what like I was 12 when I was like 12, 13 when we first moved
Hmm.
and we met Corey. And
Corey is
Corey is like
a
a second mom.
character. Corey, she's our godmother legally.
Like
Legally, she's our
Corey,
godmother. I
like
remember that
now
day.
if you want to put into terms of Medea,
That is, oh my god.
that she was a hardcore like Medea.
So
Like
it's like
Miss Angela was a nice Medea, but Corey was
the other
Medea.
Medea,
Like
and
Medea.
that's just it goes to show like because of the way that we had to grow up, the way that we lived, we had nothing to really complain about.
Yeah, because we always had uh I mean, not saying like Ma wasn't there. Ma was, working. She was a single
Mom
parent.
was working her fucking ass off doing her damn
Yeah,
best.
she was a single parent. She was going to work, she was doing as much as she could to provide us. Uh but we also felt like we didn't have the other parent. We had, like a replacement. Not in not in a sense of like, oh, like we're replacing Ma. No,
No.
more like a
It's like
fill in.
it mine doesn't happen to be in the building, it's covered.
Yeah, like we're good. We're good.
You're
We're
like
good.
you
Like
take your
don't
time,
worry.
Mom,
We're
we're
good.
good. Homework is done.
Yes.
Corey beat the shit out of me if I didn't do it. All right, you're
Yeah.
good.
Like not just like Corey, but like growing up with
Literally
all the
anyone.
others. Yes.
I'm pretty sure I heard Ma give Miss Angela permission to slap me if I acted up. I was like,
Not
I
like
don't want
not
that,
like
but
physically. Maybe she would like grab a piece of paper, like her newspaper or
that's
something.
funny. But it was nice. Because of Allison, we got to view life in a different way.
Yeah,
Um,
in a
and
good way.
in a
Like
good
it was
way. But unfortunately, everyone goes through it. There are goods and there are bads. In our case, and unfortunately, we do have to get into that segment. I was kind of avoiding it, but this is like the big story. Uh, People go through the good and people go through the bad.
yeah,
Unfortunately, in our case, we went through the good or the extremely bad.
yeah,
Um, I do hate having to do this, but it's for context reasons. Uh, you remember the day. You
yeah,
remember the day that I'm about to be talking about.
yeah,
Um, so I'll do a quick recap. Because Allison pretty much had every condition under the sun. She was constantly in and out of the hospital. You know, day in day out. She was hardly ever home. Kinds of situations. Um, there was one particular day that kind of changed everything.
yeah,
Everything changed after this day. And it was the day that kind of drove me into the person that I am now. I quite literally owe the way that I am now to this day, and that was the day that we almost lost her.
Yeah.
There was a day when um, Allison was in the hospital. She was very sick. I believe her immune systems were acting up.
Yeah.
Just things were going really bad, really fast. And, as a child, I didn't fully understand what was going on. I remember seeing her in her hospital bed. I know that she was extremely sick. I didn't know why. I remember the machines around her going haywire. I remember them beeping like crazy. I remember mom crying. This was actually one of the rare times where our father was there, and the doctors and the nurses and all those people in their whites and their mask all like came into the room and took us out. And we like I was sitting in the lobby like trying to figure like I don't know what's going on. I'm like a little bit scared. What was all the noise? And it was only till like later, I believe it was either mom herself or one of the nurses. I can't exactly remember who it was that told me, but basically I was told that like she almost passed away that night.
Yeah.
She was extremely close to passing away that night. And that, I think, destroyed every ounce of innocence I had in my body at the time. Um, I'm pretty, if I remember correctly, I don't think you were actually there when that happened. I think you were,
No.
I'm
And
pretty sure you
that's
were out.
no, I it's funny that you say that I wasn't there. I literally was oblivious to the whole situation because it was my first soccer game. And I was at the game. Like
That's,
I was playing, I was having fun. I was having the time of my life at this game. And I had like a sense of like something was wrong. Like I at the game, I suddenly started feeling like I feel something. I feel off. I feel really off. My game isn't in the game. Like my head isn't in the game anymore. Like halfway through the game, I was like, I feel off. Eh, like something in me was just like it just snapped, and did not focus on the game at all. Like I was like, so I just feel something heavy on my chest.
mm-hmm.
Um but I was trying to like distract myself and having fun being in the game, and no one told me anything until after the game, and I felt like
I think that's when I think either dad or mom left to go get you. One of the two.
yeah, it was someone. I forgot who it was, but I remember like feeling like a sense of like, what the hell? I was over here having fun at my freaking game, and my sister basically like flatlined. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there. Like I felt like I was not supposed to be like a sense of like, why am I having fun when my sister's in the hospital? Like what
Yeah.
I could have told like but that's like, that's your mindset of like I felt like regret. You know what I'm saying? Like some sort of like just I don't know how to put it into words, but for a very very long time, I mean even till today, there's still moments where I'm just like I was over here having fun at a game and my sister was flatlining. Like
Yeah.
it's a moment that I
To
in
to
my mind just switched. It
to put
switched
it
and
like into some kind of perspective for unfortunately, you dreamers out there are having to hear this, but this is the truth. This is the story that,
Yeah.
we have to share to kind of give you guys, you know, the knowledge of what
Our
it's like.
what it's like to have, on the other side, the sibling
Mhm.
side of it all.
Like that day, once all like the commotion had, I guess, settled, we were allowed back in the room. You weren't there yet, but like they let us go back in the room, and I just remember seeing her there. She was just laying there on her bed,
Yeah.
like not moving like at all. And
I you know,
something
it's
it,
so funny because I didn't know you were there. I thought you were at, like, either at home or at school. I did not know you experienced that. I'm so
I
sorry.
watched it firsthand. Like I remember seeing her go into shock. Now that I'm older, I know what it's called. I remember seeing her physically go into shock. I remember seeing her BPM absolutely plummet, and it was, at the time confusing. Now, horrifying. Like I'm literally watching my sister basically pass away in front of me, and I didn't know what was going on. Like after they let us back in the room, they had, somehow managed to stabilize her, and I, it was it was it was the day. That was the day in my life that completely changed. Like I had what could have been, that version of a normal life before, and in that version of a life, I like to view our life with Allison on a parallel line to what the average person lives.
Yeah.
Um, our version of normal, and then our version of a life altering event. And that was the day that my innocence was just completely lost. And it's actually where I drew the or gained the inspiration of the story character that I have created known as Dread, which is just the absolute agonizing torture of the emotions that I felt that day. It was pain, it was anger, it was despair, it was dread. I remember, you know, I remember going to the window and smashing my head against the window. We were on like the eighth floor, and I'm smashing my head against this window. And like mom had to pull me off of the window, and I'm just going like, it should have been me. That it should have been me. It was supposed to be me. And I was
Yeah,
just, I
that
was,
was
I
my
was a mess. Another thing that I remember of that is that I remember standing on the side of her bed, and I kind of didn't want to say this part, but at the same time, I kind of do. That I remember feeling the absolute despair that I started asphyxiating. Actually, I actually started like losing my breath. I could not breathe at all. And I kind of also remember mom and you laughing about it because you got, admittedly, it was a little lighthearted. I'll add that because mom made it funny. She said I sounded like a frog making that noise. Um, I literally was not able to breathe. I couldn't breathe for like 30 seconds. And it was just, it changed everything. And ever since that day, I had completely acted differently with Allison. I wasn't even the relatively normal brother relationship with that. It's like I'm going to absolutely demolish anything that hurts Allison. I'm going to cause harm to the world if the world causes harm to her. It changed entirely after that day. And it was
yeah.
That's just the truth. I'm sorry to put you dreamers out there to hear that part, but this is what Allison's story was. This is what we had to experience. This is what our life with someone like Allison is like. And unfortunately, this happens to a lot of people as well. You know, it's not just the average person living an average life. This is basically someone almost losing someone you really care about. Anyone can feel that emotion and anyone can feel that sadness. But that's not to say that that's all you'll ever feel. That was, mind you, that day we were supposed to lose her. We didn't. She's older now. She's smarter now. She pulled through after that day and has continued to pull through ever since. There were a couple scares here and there. There hasn't been a huge scare in an extremely long time. She has
Right.
managed to adapt her body. Um, Once again, to explain it, with Allison's hypotonia, her weak muscle tone, she started doing physical therapy. She started working her body to the best that she can, training her muscles to work for her rather than against her. She
But
was able to do
um
speech therapy at some point.
let me cut you off. Not only did on that day, they had to basically cut out one of her lungs because it collapsed, and that's why she
Yeah.
flatlined.
Allison,
So
not only does she has a shopping list of conditions, she's got a shopping
she
list of
also
surgeries.
she also not only they had to put trach back in because her lung collapsed.
Hmm.
So she basically is running on one lung. You know how like us, we have two lungs. We can breathe deeply and exhale, inhale, whatever, but she only has one lung. So it's just to think that um she went in the hospital with two lungs and then left with one, and now she's just running on one lung.
Yeah.
It's just like we could have lost her, but instead she lost one lung. And for me, I'm like, I I rather just think of the fact that like she pulled through, man. She pulled through
Hmm.
that day.
And despite everything going against someone like Allison, Allison has risen above time and time against, despite everything just stacking against her and weighing her down, she just completely oblivious to it, doesn't realize that there's a problem and just continues,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I feel like if that's one thing that the world could learn from, it's sometimes bad things will happen. That doesn't mean that you have to care. That doesn't mean that you have to let it be the reason that keeps you down. You know, take Allison for example. We weren't supposed to still have her. We
yeah.
do though. She's still with us. She's still doing fine. She still annoys the shit out of me, but we love her. And I'll say it. I'll say it because I'm kind of conceited. But Red, you and I did. I think we did pretty damn good as her older siblings. You took the side that you were supposed to for her, and I took the side that I thought I was supposed to. And to this day, she still is doing whatever the hell she wants, really.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. She's basically the boss of us, like all of us.
I mean, I ain't gonna let her have that.
Nah, she's the
No.
boss. She's the boss.
Yeah,
She's the
unfortunately.
boss. If she were to tell you, like, hey, I need you to come and visit me immediately, would you
Yeah,
not hop in the car and just zoom to her?
I fucking guess.
Yeah, she's the boss. She
Yeah,
runs
yeah.
us. She's like
So
She's she's
I,
the
you know what? Don't toot
puppeteer.
her horn anymore. All right, come
She's
on.
the puppeteer of us. We're her
Whatever.
little puppets.
All right. So with all those things out of the
Hold on,
way,
cause
we
I I I gotta
don't
clean. I gotta clean my eyes. I cause
don't you
yeah.
cry on
Hold
my
on.
podcast.
No, man, I was crying. Yeah, I was crying. I cried.
All
I don't care. I cried.
right.
I
Now,
was crying.
with all those stories that we gave you, we hope that you're able to take all of that information into consideration of what life is like with someone with disabilities. We have actually now reached the segment of the podcast. This is going to be the close to the last segment before we send off to our closing ceremonies, and that is actually our Q&A segment. Where we have received a couple questions in regards to a couple questions, excuse me, from you guys, you dreamers out there in the world, in regards to what Allison is like, what life is like for someone like that, and just in general, good questions. So, Red, if you're ready, this first one I think is actually going to be pretty cool to answer. This first question actually comes from Neffy, all the way from Europe, and
Dang. Dang.
they ask, many people with disabilities have some kind of support animal. Is Allison someone who would have one? And what kind would she have if she did?
Oh,
I like that
that's
question.
that's a good question.
That's actually a very nice question. For the, do you want to start?
I don't know, cause I can think of a lot of animals.
Because like for the longest time, she's never had the need for one. But if she did,
What would it be?
what would it be like? Because when most people have when people with special needs, they have a service animal. Most of the time it's a dog. Because of Allison's breathing inabilities, you know, sometimes a dog wasn't always the proper action. Not to say that we didn't have a dog, not to say that we didn't have, and I'm sorry to say this, right, I'm gonna do it to you, we had a dog and a bunny
Yeah.
when we were growing up, Blue and Brooke. She was
Yeah.
totally fine, but I wouldn't consider them service dogs. I mean, Brooke was kind of an idiot and Blue was kind of a jackass. I'm not gonna
Hey,
lie.
but
Blue
do
was a
not say that.
jackass.
No, he was
Blue
not.
the
No,
rabbit
he
was
was
a
not.
jackass, but he was
He
cool.
was he was the best bunny
He was.
ever.
He was
How
cool. And Brooke
he lived.
was. They were surprisingly very gentle with Allison, surprisingly. Um, as far as like a service animal for someone like Allison, get this bitch an attack wasp.
Attack wasp?
Yeah,
What?
I think she would do great with a service wasp. I'm so serious about that. I
What?
was when I wrote the when I wrote this in the notebook to have these questions down, I was so I sent these questions out and I got these answers. I'm like, I bet she would actually do really good with a wasp. Just have a wasp on her shoulder at any given point in time. She's walking in the street. And you're like, give me your money. Fucking wasp. Get him. Obviously, this
I
is a joke. I don't think a wasp would be a good service animal.
I was
But
gonna say, because I'm definitely giving you like a what
I'm just
face right
saying
now.
it would be cool. I would want an attack wasp. But as far as the service animal goes, I think a normal dog, I suppose. I don't
Wait,
know.
it's a service? I thought it was
A
like if she was
support
an animal.
animal.
Oh,
If she
support.
was an
Oh, okay.
animal,
So it's
no,
the
tell me what
same.
kind of support animal. If she was
Oh,
an
man,
animal,
I don't
that's a
know.
different question.
A
I honestly have
support
no idea.
animal?
Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm gonna stick with it because I can't really think of anything else. A wasp.
I
I
don't
don't
I
know.
don't
I don't know what else she would
I
have.
don't know. I literally I would think of like a God, there's like so many animals that pop in my head. Like
Yeah,
um because she's such a big Harry Potter fan. I thought of an owl.
as a
Like a
support animal. I could see
Shoot,
that.
you could have a freaking lizard as a support
That's
animal. Like,
true.
why not?
That's true. That's true.
Why
That's very true.
not?
Um,
Um, I was thinking like an owl to keep her like active. Owls are very I mean, for me, I thought because she's such a huge Harry Potter fan, I thought of like the snow owls.
yeah.
Um,
What if
the
she
other one I think,
like the Cerberus from Harry Potter and
yes,
Sorcerer's Stone?
or like like the griffin.
Yeah, get this bitch a support griffin. Come on now.
Get her a
That
griffin.
would be
She
cool as
she
shit.
needs a griffin.
You know what?
Um,
That's our answer. She would have a support griffin. So
there you go.
there you
Yeah,
go,
a
Neffy.
griffin.
Thank you very much. Our
A
next
griffin.
question. Our next question actually comes from, get this, our grandfather in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Our
Okay. Hey, I didn't
grandfather
know.
actually sent us a question. He asked, "What are the treatments for someone with hypotonia?" And I actually looked this up just to, because I kind of already knew the answer, but I wanted to reestablish that this is what it was. The treatments for someone with hypotonia, and you dreamers take notes of this. Treatments usually consist for someone with hypotonia. Treatments usually consist of a tremendous amount of physical therapy,
Yeah.
because the whole point of hypotonia is that you have little to no muscle tone. So the best way to treat and not cure it, because hypotonia is a lifelong lasting condition, one of the best ways to help with it is just constant physical therapy. And that is actually something that Allison does. She's constantly doing exercises, she's constantly doing physical therapy. She does it pretty much every day,
Yeah.
and it tremendously helps with her muscle training. It allows her body not to have to work overtime. It's pretty much what allows her to keep her boat floating.
Yeah.
Our next question is, I can't read that one. I actually did not.
Uh-oh.
I did not fully write that one. Uh
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
oh. Whoops. Technical
Uh-oh.
difficulty.
Pause the stream.
Oh God, no! The file
Pause
corrupted.
it.
Ah! Okay. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll do a different one if I have to. Unfortunately, those did not save the way that I wanted them to. That's unfortunate. But with this, we will end this episode of DPR. Uh, Before we send us into the closing ceremony, I would like to take this time to give my personal thanks for the DPR. That I'm very glad that I was able to talk about this. I personally feel like I was able to get a lot
Off your
off my
chest.
chest.
Yeah.
I feel like this was an opportunity that I needed to have people understand who I am, uh, and why I am the way that I am. Um,
Yeah.
because if anyone, like I said at the very beginning of DPR, if anyone knows me, they know that I am very much obsessed with my little sister, and you know how much I love and care about her, but you'll never hear me say that ever again because I'm a man and whatever. Um,
Someone clip it. Clip it.
don't you dare clip
Clip
it.
it. Someone clip it.
So it I want to say thank you, dreamers out there, for listening. It means a lot. I would like to thank my wonderful, beautiful, and amazing older sister, Red, for joining me today. I think you and I needed this personally.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that we had to talk about, a lot of things that we got to hear from each other, and I want to thank you for joining me today. I want you to know, and I will never say this again, that
Clip it.
you are indeed fine. Clip it, whatever. You are a good sister. You're a very good sister. You're a very good mother. You have two beautiful children, and I love them dearly. You took care of Allison. You took care of me. You took care of our mom. You did great. Thank you for joining me on my podcast. Thank you for tolerating me and my podcast. And screw you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Whatever. So, ladies,
Wait.
what? Hey, no, I will not let you embarrass me.
No. No, because you made me cry. So,
Whatever. Anything to
um,
say?
they thank you for having me. uh, I learned a lot of things today. About you. And uh, I'm, I'm trying not to cry, man.
Come on.
Oh, and I really tried.
You
I
did. You
really
did good.
tried,
You did good. You
and
helped mom a lot, and you did
I
very
really
good to help take
tried,
care of Allison.
and I know that um growing up it was not easy, but it was fun to have someone else, not like fun, someone else to, experience all this trauma with. It's nice to have someone to talk to about it, sibling wise. So, thank you for being the best brother ever.
Kiss my
And
ass.
shut up. um and honestly, it's you're one of my best friends, man. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Honestly, you held you held this all in, and I'm really proud of you, man.
Thank you, man.
And and it's it's nice to have a partner in crime. And yeah,
I don't think I would.
I
This
wouldn't ask
is.
for another brother
I
to
don't think
have
I would ask
trauma with.
for. I don't think I would ask anyone else either. So
So I love you.
I
I
love
love
you
you,
too.
Indy.
I love you too.
Clip
All right.
it! Clip
Don't clip it. All right.
it!
Thank you, Dreamers, for watching. Thank you, Dreamers, for listening. Thank you, my sister, for joining. This has been Dream Podcast Radio. I'm your host, and we will see you for the closing ceremonies of today's Soul Family not collaboration. I'm not allowed to say that word. Soul Families streamathon for the D.R.E.D.F. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere.
Bye.
Okay. Now, I need to get everyone in here.
Oh
That
my
was
gosh, I
cute.
love that so much.
There we
Beautiful,
go.
beautiful.
That was awesome.
That was
So
beautiful.
our lovely curtain call introduction was made possible by our mastermind and head organizer, Rachel. Rachel, thank you very much for assisting in doing that. Today
course.
we have reached our final send-offs and our curtain call. I'm actually missing Vintage, so allow me to go do that real fast. Just a moment.
Yes.
Don't go
It's
on
not
nowhere,
private.
Vintage.
How dare you miss somebody,
I
Indy?
know. I look. I was trying to do that beforehand. I really wanted to show off the thing. Don't make fun of me for it. All right, watch how fast I
Maybe,
do this.
if you get Opera GX, it'll work faster.
Here we go with the Opera GX. I swear to God. There we go. All right, Vintage is in the field. So, I actually have a thing that I wanted to read off of. If you guys will humor me for just a bit longer.
No.
Uh,
No, I'm
please,
kidding. Go ahead.
please, please do. Okay, shut up. Don't make me laugh.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our special event. Today was truly an incredible opportunity for the Soul Fam to make an impact within the community and to send a widespread message across all ears to hear. Throughout our event, we hope you were able to enjoy yourselves away from the daily trials and tribulations of everyday life and learn the value of lending your ears and hearts to those around you. We of the Soul Fam make it our mission to express the importance of companionship and brotherhood. And by working with the Disability Research Education and Defense Fund, the D.R.E.D.F, we extend that mission to our friends, our families, our neighbors, and all in between. For those with disabilities, I already read that part, excuse me, and welcome you into the Soul Fam with warm tidings. Equality is a given right to all, no matter how different we are. On behalf of the Soul Fam stream team, we thank the D.R.E.D.F for this opportunity to allow us in assisting with sending this fantastic message for everyone. Going down the line, during our current call, I'm gonna let everyone send any final send offs that they would like to say. Let's start off with the one who was able to help make all of this happen, our fearless compatriot and our fearless person that charged through the ranks, Rachel.
First off, I'd like to say that with everybody's help today, we have raised $853 to donate to the D.R.E.D.F.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's a
That
lot
is
of moolah.
huge. That is huge. And we would have not been able to do it without, of course, our wonderful community here on Twitch. But I also want to give a special thank you to the entire Soul Fam. I have been a large part of philanthropy and service work for a good portion of my life, but this is probably not even probably, this is the greatest event that I've ever been a part of, and it's because of all of you guys really pulling through together as a family, and that's the kind of passion and love and work that makes things happen. So I'm going to give my favorite quote one more time, once again. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. No one achieves anything alone.
Thank you very much, Rachel. And we owe a tremendous amount to you. You've worked very hard to allow us to make this happen. All of us here love and adore you. We
It's
appreciate
been my
you.
pleasure.
We cannot thank you
Mhm.
enough.
Thank you.
Going down our list chronologically, of course, uh, is Vintage, who was our second stream event of the evening.
I think it was just really awesome to hang out with all my friends and do fundraising like this. Um, it's to a cause that I myself have spent a long time and even my whole career, my current career and future career are based off of. So to see this community come together, just do that is amazing. once again, thank you to Rachel, because that would not be possible without her. She's amazing. And I love you all.
We love you. You ever thought about that?
Love you.
God damn it.
You're gonna make me cry.
Dun dun dun.
We love
Dun,
and
dun,
adore you
dun.
as well, Vintage. Thank you very much for joining us today and for helping, throwing in your part to make this happen as well. Our next event that happened this evening was from our very own Zoa Renzo, our head chef of the art industry, if you will.
I like that.
Mm.
I get a fancy little chef hat and everything. Anywho,
Mm.
I don't know,
I
man.
took on your chef hat.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I guess
Wow.
walked into that. I mean, listen to that, Rachel. Even the coyotes are laughing at me.
Oh,
Jeez.
why am I
Okay,
coyote? That was
Tauruses.
mean.
Or a sigh. I don't know. Like, I just the entire day there wasn't a single segment of the stream where I felt like we were all incredibly hyper focused on what we needed to do, and we were all just having a wonderful time. And I just want to say that I'm actually incredibly proud of every single one of you.
Hmm.
And hopefully this isn't going to be the last event that we do. And I do look forward to any other crazy shenanigans that we do.
It's
Oh,
I'm
just the
sure there'll be a
beginning.
lot more.
I extremely doubt this will
No.
be the last that you see of us.
So yeah, here's to the next one.
Thank you, Zoe. Without
No one's
you,
canceled yet. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure that healthcare would have been free, but we appreciate you either way.
Well,
We love and adore you, bro.
What?
I'm not repeating that joke. I'm sorry, that was messed up. We love you, Z.
That was
I
horrible.
love
Cancel
you.
Indy. Wow.
I appreciate you being here with us, man. It means a lot. Going down, our next event that happened was Shadow Saber, who showed us that fear comes in all kinds of shapes and sizes.
but they were all fear.
All of which were fear, yes.
Here, use the monkey paw.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, thanks to all of you for, this is my first like major big stream event that I got to partake in. I really wouldn't have gotten back into streaming if it wasn't for you guys. And I wanted to thank everybody that's watching for opening up your hearts and helping make this possible, because if it wasn't for all of you, this whole thing wouldn't have been possible.
Nice.
That's
True.
pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, Shadow. We're very,
Thank you.
very glad and lucky to have someone
Love
like you in our
you.
team. We love and
I
adore you as
love you.
well.
Excellent.
Even if you do have Opera GX.
She's not the only one.
Indy, you're just jealous.
I am.
At least I know of at least 3 other people that have it here.
Remind me who they are so I don't have to talk to them again.
Me.
Wow. Me.
Speaking of you, the next one on our list who took place after Shadow was our very own Suburban Trauma, Devin.
Hi. Okay, I'm sleepy. I don't have anything planned to say that like people haven't already said. Like thanks to everybody out there. This wouldn't be possible without any of you, as well as this wouldn't be possible without everybody in the Soul Fam. So like I echo all that, and yeah, I love you all. Thank you.
We love you, Devin.
Let's
Thanks.
go, Drifter.
Love
Uh,
you.
Love you.
Drifter says they use Opera.
Okay.
That was excellent, Devin. Excellent.
Thank you.
And to go off of the energy that Devin was able to give us is our very own dungeon master in everything that is strange, bizarre, and fantastical. Ladevia.
Fantastical. That's a big word.
Yeah, I learned that word today.
Clearly, it shows. Blind monk learned new trick in school. Brilliant. Spit on that. Anyways.
Wow.
Thanks.
It's amazing what a
reference to
group
the
of people can
campaign.
do.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
referencing.
the newer streamer, this is interesting to see what it can do. So look forward to many more.
Thank you, Dev.
Eh?
By the way, in case
Dev.
everyone in Ladevian, in case anyone missed it, we learned of a brilliant new strategy during D&D.
Sorry, they can twist it.
I'm done.
I'm just saying, good old dick twist.
Listen up. If I have to program that in as an actual item for things, I swear to fucking God.
So good. No, I will back this. Let's go.
Cat
Uh,
can
oh,
coming
Lord.
soon.
Oh
Patreon.
Lord.
Um,
Oh my.
to follow up with Ladevian, I would actually like to give our next send off to our special guest of the evening, my older sister, Lady Red.
Yes.
Huh? I wasn't planning on seeing.
Surprise,
Thank
bitch.
you guys. Thank you guys so much for letting me join. You guys are such wonderful people. And honestly, I couldn't ask for anyone else to really take care of
I
my
knew you
my
were gonna
baby brother.
fucking say it. I knew you were gonna say it.
So
I
I'm
knew you were gonna say that.
honestly, I'm very grateful that he has such a group of good, amazing, wonderful, funny, talented people like you guys. And honestly, thank you guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And just thank you. I had fun today, and it was a new experience for me. And yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys are so wonderful.
Thank you,
Oh,
sister
we
of mine.
actually
Thank
do love
you.
Indigo.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm
The
glad.
blue boy.
Yeah, because sometimes he is just a piece of work, but I love him.
Just say it. Just say that I'm a piece of shit. Don't have to
No,
sugarcoat.
no, that's too nice to say about you.
All right, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I suppose that leaves me. Hello, my name is Indigo Dream. Like everyone else has said, I would like to thank everyone who has joined us this evening for our Soul Fam Streamathon. It truly means a lot to us to have this chance to really make our own mark in a really good community for a really important purpose. It meant a lot to me personally to have everyone experience and learn what it's like to feel unity. I got to share this incredible moment and share my personal stories with my life and my family with some of my best friends here in the Soul Fam. And I've always have wanted to have that kind of connection with people. For a very long time in my life, I wanted to be able to open that circle uh, that has been closed off for a very long time. And I do believe I chose the right group of people to do that with. And I chose the right time to do that with, especially for the D.R.E.D.F campaign. I would like to thank each and every single one of you in the Soul Fam for being the way that you are, understanding, caring, funny, and exceptional individuals that, though you may be incredibly different in your own ways, there's one thing that allows you all to connect to each other and truly unite as one in the Soul Fam. And that is just the ease of being able to welcome others into your arms, no matter how different you may be, big, small, your race, your gender, or any disabilities that one person may have. It means a lot to someone like me. It means a lot to my sisters that we were able to have that moment with all of you and all of you out there listening as well. So I believe I will say this as a final piece of my thank you send off. I appreciate you all out there listening and know that this comes from the bottom of my heart and from my soul family to yours. Thank you all for so much for joining us today. This has been the Soul Fam Streamathon with the D.R.E.D.F campaign. We're out of here for the evening.
Clappers.
Bye.
Good job.
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.